Boston Celtics get 68 combined points from Jayson Tatum and Jaylen Brown, a dual MVP level performance. And let's stop kidding ourselves. This Celtics identity, it's all on the offensive side. We're going to talk about it right now on the Locked On Celtics podcast.
Be ever ready. Recognize the city of champs. Boston, baby, we do what you can't. Locked on number 18, Tatum and Brown, J-team, step back. We gon' wet that and slay teams. Of course, the Celtics, who else could it be? Screaming like KG with the Larry O.B. Karalis above average, assessing the team status. Best daily pod, no cap, salary matching. Clutch like Bird the DJ, keep John on replay. Prime time, dapping up the truth on the sideline. Raining J's, how it started, raising banners, how we finished. Locked on Celtics pod, home of the winners. B.
Hey, welcome back to the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, where it is your team every day. And I'm here for you every day with a free, fresh podcast that drops directly to your device when you subscribe. So make sure you're subscribed wherever you get your podcasts. Also on YouTube. I do appreciate you making this your first listen every day. I'm John Karalis, former professional basketball player. Now I'm covering the Celtics as I get choked up, covering the Celtics for Boston Sports Journal. And I've written a book called Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars. Hey, got a new shipment coming in. So if you want to buy a unique gift for Christmas, Boston Celtics All-Time All-Stars, it's a book. It's an evergreen book. It still applies. And maybe in a few years, I'll have to write in Jayson Tatum. But for now, it's still a book. You can get an autographed copy at johnkaralis.com. Autographed copy for $30. International shipping is different, so you have to send me a message for international shipping, but it's a unique gift. It's a fun gift for Celtics fans. So check that out at johnkaralis.com. Today's show is also, it's brought to you by SweatBlock. If you or someone you know is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try SweatBlock. It's very appropriate on Thanksgiving as you head out to these family dinners. Save 20% with the promo code LOCKDOWN at sweatblock.com. Also available on Amazon. Boston Celtics get the big 125-112 win, up by as many as 27, down. The lead got down to 9 at one point, but then they got it together. Jayson Tatum went off, Jaylen Brown went off, and they put the Mavericks away. Later on, third segment, I'm going to dispel this notion that this Celtics identity is going to be on the defensive end, even though Robert Williams is coming back. And I'll mention Robert Williams in a minute as far as his timeline for return. Even though he's coming back fairly soon, this notion that his return is suddenly going to morph this team into some sort of defensive identity. No chance. This is an offensive identity for this team this season and maybe moving forward. That's third segment. I'm going to talk about that then. First couple of segments, let's just talk about this game where the Celtics, like I said, were up big. Then the Mavs made a run. The Celtics got a little sloppy. Then they got it together. The big story of this game is Jaylen Brown, 31 points, Jayson Tatum, 37 points. They shot well. They defended well. They rebounded. They distributed. And only 11 turnovers on the game for the Celtics. That's an amazing number for a team. First of all, you're going up against a Mavericks team that likes to force turnovers. Secondly, this is a team that had just come off some big turnover numbers, big turnover games. Jaylen Brown had 12 turnovers in his last two games, and then he has 2 in this one. So, and he admitted after the game, this is a big one. He admitted after the game, it's not anything the defense was doing. It was me being sloppy. And that is a big admission, in my opinion, because he knows that he's not completely focused the entire games. And he knows that he's not playing with the level of, I don't know what the word is, precision. He needs to be better about getting off the ball earlier. He needs to be better about what he's doing, more decisive about what he's doing. And that leads to some of the bigger turnover nights. But in this one, just 2 turnovers to go along with 72% shooting, 13 of 18 shooting, 2 of 3 from 3. So all of it almost was done in 2-pointers, and very few were in outside of the restricted area. He was attacking the basket, getting to the rim, finishing at the rim, and like I said, 13 of 18, 11 of those were 2-pointers, and most of those were at the basket. Very aggressive Jaylen Brown. Early in the game, smart in transition. Jaylen is running down the right sideline, and it's almost one of those points where it's like you have a decision to make. You're either going to flare out to the corner or you're going to make that cut. And when Jaylen makes that cut and Smart just drops threads a perfect pass right to him, that decision to me sets the tone for the entire game and why JB was so good. That decision to, you know what? I'm going to get to the front of this. I'm going to get to this rim, and I trust Marcus is going to hit me. That's a level of aggression. If he had flared out, you kind of felt like, well, we're going to see a bunch of jump shots in this game. Nope. He was going to that rim, and he went to the rim the whole night. After the game, Marcus Smart said, at his best, Jaylen Brown is an MVP candidate. And this type of performance here is MVP level stuff. The 31 points, obviously 72% shooting is incredible. 4 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 steals, just 2 turnovers. That is MVP level performance. That's the type of thing that if he does this every night, if that's his just kind of, obviously not the shooting that high, but if that's just who he is, then yeah, he can get his game to that next level. People tell me in the comments sometimes, why the disrespect for Jaylen Brown? Because I'm saying he's not an MVP candidate and Jayson Tatum is. Well, this is the MVP stuff right here. So Marcus Smart has a point. Jaylen Brown played at an MVP level. Jayson Tatum really played at an MVP level. 37 points, 13 of 15 from the line, 13 rebounds, 5 assists, 2 blocks, 2 turnovers. The block on Luka Doncic at the end capped off a run, the game-sealing run. That run, the lead had gotten down to 9, and then Tatum comes up, dishes it off to Al Horford. Horford hits a 3. I'll talk about Horford and the complimentary guys in this next segment. Tatum hits Horford for the 3. Then he attacks, gets 2 free throws. Then he gets to the rim and finishes there. And is responsible for this run. I think it was a 7-2 run that kind of knocked everything back, kept everything at bay, got the lead back up to a comfortable spot. And of course, Jaylen Brown was the capper after the Jayson Tatum block. So Tatum had a hand in everything there. Tatum blocks Luka. The ball gets up to Jaylen Brown. He just in rhythm steps into a 3-pointer. Ball game. That was your ball game. But Jayson Tatum is he had a stretch there in the second half where he tailed off a little bit, but again, level of aggression, the fight to get to the front of the rim. He's getting to the rim with determination, and this is just another extension of that. The way he's deciding, I'm getting through these defenders. I'm playing through the contact now. I'm getting to the front of the rim. And he's not just flipping up a bunch of crap. Now, he still does it from time to time, but he is being aggressive and attacking the front of the rim. You've heard me say that a million times. I'm going to keep on saying it because that's what he's doing. And that's how you get these free throws. I feel like I've been saying this since last season or beyond. Stop with the slicing this way and that way. Get to the front. Let them see that you've been hit. This is the result. MVP Tatum. Plus, he's in there rebounding. He's chomping glass. 13 rebounds. 3 offensive rebounds. Doing a great job keeping the ball alive. Obviously, if your 2 stars are combining for 68 points, and it's not like one of those goofy ones where Tatum drops 50 or Jaylen drops 50, the other one has 18. No. This is a 37 and a 31-point night. Both were plus 14. Both were huge, amazing, playing on both ends. Jaylen Brown, the steal, waiting for Luka in the post, going and tipping it away and starting the break. Great stuff. Just beautiful, beautiful stuff. An amazing bounce back for both these guys. What about the other guys? Because there were some big performances on the other side as well. I'll be talking about them in a moment. First, today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline, your number one source for your sports betting info, stats, news, and analysis. I'll be heading to betonline.net tomorrow, Thanksgiving. Today, Thanksgiving. Happy Thanksgiving, everybody, by the way. I'll be heading to BetOnline to check out what the over-under is on combined points between the Celtics and the Kings once that comes out, because that is going to be a super, super high number. Celtics and Kings on Friday. That is going to be, it's going to be some wild betting lines involved with that. So head on over there, get the latest odds and trends for every professional and amateur league out there, from football to basketball to soccer to esports. Soccer, a big deal right now with the World Cup going on. It's all at betonline.net. Also, if you love podcasts, of course you do, then you can find those at betonline.net. You're always going to be at the fastest and easiest way to get your betting fix there. Head to the website today. You can use your mobile device. BetOnline, where the game starts. Please gamble responsibly. And thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. Head on over to Locked On NBA to make it your second listen every day. I host on Wednesdays. If you missed the Wednesday show, go back and listen to it. It was a fun show with me and Jake Madison, host of Locked On Pelicans, my good friend. You might have heard him on this podcast last week. Check out Locked On NBA wherever you get your podcasts, including YouTube. The other guys, I talked about Tatum, talked about Jaylen Brown. The other guys had great performances, but let me get to the other big story of what everybody did before I get to some of these other individual performances. The other big story here is what they were able to do to Luka Doncic, and for most of the game, not all of the game, because there was a stretch there with about 3.5 or so to go in the third quarter, and basically a full quarter, about 3.5 to go in the third to 3.5 or so to go in the fourth. That full quarter, Luka Doncic went from 1 assist to 9 assists. He had 8 assists in that one quarter, which is just phenomenal for him. Bad for the Celtics. What were they doing? And once you saw Doncic get the assists, that's when you saw the lead start to drop. After the game, Joe Mazzulla told Abby Chin, the point of the Celtics defense was to funnel Doncic into ISO play. Let him go ahead, go score. You be the main scorer. And we saw it was kind of working. It was Luka, heavy Luka, no pun intended, not really making a joke there. Heavy duty Luka minutes. And look, he had 42 points, 17 of 28 shooting. It felt like every time he got the ball, he backed down. We were talking about it on Press Row. He was hitting shots. You're like, you can't play any better defense than that. But he was out there hitting those shots, playing great. What he wasn't getting was assists. The Celtics weren't turning the ball over. They weren't missing a ton of shots, and they were sticking close defensively. They were not letting Luka get loose. And we all know how dangerous Luka is when he's triple-double Luka. In the first 2 quarters in most of the third, he was ISO Luka. And the Mavs are so similar to the Celtics in some ways, because if they're moving the ball and your stars are getting assists, then that's going to be a recipe for success. When your star is going ISO, that's going to be a problem, because you need him to get the other guys going. This is kind of very much last year or 2 years ago Boston Celtics that we're seeing from Doncic, at least what we saw in this game. Celtics did a wonderful job limiting his assists. Then in that quarter, that's 12-minute stretch or so, 14-minute stretch or so, the Celtics started turning the ball over. They missed a bunch of shots. They didn't get back on defense. You saw breakaways, 8 assists for Doncic in that stretch. 4 of them were in transition. That's when Christian Wood starts going off and getting dunks. Christian Wood had this great game, 26 points, 12 rebounds, but he was a non-factor, I think, for most of this until that stretch. So we kind of saw the best and the worst of the Celtics, I think, in that little kind of run that the Mavs made. Celtics, no surprise, got outscored by 15 in that. So you look at the difference in this game, it was a 13-point game. While they built a 27-point lead, they were outscored by 15. So they basically, that stretch, that run, that thing they gave up is where that lead got just ripped away from them. And they could never really fully get that back. So it's a little sign to the Celtics like, hey, man, you got to keep this up. You got to keep it up for 48 minutes. You got to keep moving. And you can't get lazy against a team like the Mavericks, because even though it looked like they should pack it in after 3 quarters or through most of three quarters, it doesn't take much in the NBA. It really 27-point lead. It used to be that you get into the fourth quarter with a 27-point lead and you just say, all right, it's over. Garbage time. Whole fourth quarter is garbage time. Now, 27-point lead, you mess up a little bit, and especially with a guy like Luka, it just becomes boom, boom, boom. 3-point play, layup, couple of 3-pointers, and all of a sudden you realize that, well, we just gave up 11 points. And 27-point lead is down to 16. And 16 doesn't feel quite as comfortable at all, does it? No. All of a sudden, 15-point lead, you're like, oh, couple of free throws. Oh, it's 12-point lead. 3-pointer. Oh my God, it's down to the single digits. What happened? Can't let up. You can't let up. And I guess I should give Joe Mazzulla like a little bit of leeway, because we talk about how he leaves guys in, and really that's why guys can't sit as long for garbage time, because the lead can dissipate in a hurry. We saw this lead go away in a hurry. 27-point lead went away fast. But the reason why it was a 27-point lead, shout out to Al Horford, 5 for 5, 4 for 4 from 3, 14 points, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. After an 0 for night in Chicago, he comes back, goes 4 for 4 from 3. He comes after the game. I ask him about it, and he says, hey, shooters shoot. I never thought I'd ever hear Al Horford say the phrase shooters shoot in a post game, but he's really embraced the fact he's a shooter now. He's a shooter. And this whole concept of shooters shoot, yeah, you got to get out there and be the shooter. So yeah, he shot, and look, 0 for 7 from 3 in that last game, 4 for 4. That means 4 for 11. That's fine. That's a fine percentage. You'd like it a little more evenly spread out. Also, shout out to Joe Mazzulla, because they drew up the first play of the game to get Al a 3. And that was important. Shows confidence in Al Horford, shows that they trust him, and it just gives him that little extra boost. As long as he's been in the league, it's easy to say, hey, man, he should have plenty of confidence, but look, he's coming down towards the end. He's got 1, 2, 3 seasons left. His 3-point percentage has always been kind of to get him a shot, to trust him like this, get him that little extra bit of confidence that just always helps for a shooter. That was a smart play by Joe Mazzulla. And why, in the next segment, I will say the Celtics' identity is never going to be defense under Joe Mazzulla. It's going to be offense. So Al Horford comes in, shoots great. Derek White came in hit the first 3-pointers, missed the next 3, but played really, really well. Marcus Smart dropping dimes. The pass that Marcus Smart, I've watched this play like 100 times, and it's still awesome. Brogdon, he saves the ball, kicks it out to Al Horford, and then Brogdon tries to relocate to the corner. Smart decides to post up real quick as Jayson Tatum is cutting, and as soon as Marcus gets it, boom, drop pass for a layup. Beautiful. And he said, I was watching Jayson the whole play. I would have been pissed if he didn't cut. That's just wonderful. Smart threw some absolute dimes in this. 9 assists. I mean, the hot shooting is great. 5 of 9, 3 or 4 from 3, 13 points, plus 21. That's great. But 9 assists, that's so key for the Celtics. This is part of why Tatum and Brown get to do what they do when Marcus Smart is out there dishing. 9 shots is perfectly fine. 4 3-pointers is perfectly fine for Marcus Smart. So that was a really good performance. Malcolm Brogdon, solid, 13 points, 6 rebounds, just a couple of assists, but solid. Solid supporting cast in this one. Grant Williams struggling here in this one. 1 of 5, 0 of 3 from 3. He's the only dude who didn't hit. The Celtics hit half their threes, and Grant Williams hit none of them. But so he had an off night, but great play from the supporting cast overall. So what about that identity? What about that offensive identity, defensive identity that people talk about? We got to let it go. We got to let it go. I've come to the determination that this Celtics team, when we talk about identity, they can say it all they want, but they're wrong. Their identity is on offense. I'll talk about that next. First, today's show is also brought to you by SweatBlock. I just joked about it before. You're heading to Thanksgiving, or you're at Thanksgiving, and maybe it's a little stressful. Hey, everybody at Thanksgiving dinner, look around. You know who's stressed. You know which one of you is the one that's stressed out right now. If you use SweatBlock, you're cool. Maybe they can't tell who's stressed, because SweatBlock is very simple. After you take a shower, you get one of these wipes, you apply it, you get up to 7 days of sweat-free coverage. This is great for anybody who has a problem. There are people who just have a significant problem with it. I sometimes have a problem where it turns on and it doesn't want to turn off. And if I know that I'm going to be speaking somewhere, I will talk to schools, I will talk to people. If I know that something's coming up and I'm like, oh, I cannot afford this, I'll use SweatBlock too, because it will keep you covered. No, you don't have to wear 10 layers. You don't have to, worry about, did I wear enough deodorant? Is it going to wear out? None of that stuff. SweatBlock wipes are your little secret to confidence. They work for up to 7 days. Apply them on a Sunday, you're dry all week. If you or someone you love is experiencing embarrassing sweat or odor, try SweatBlock. You can save 20% with the promo code LOCKEDON at sweatblock.com. That's sweatblock.com. It's also available at Amazon. Read all the reviews at Amazon. You'll see it really, really works. Thanks for making Locked On Celtics your first listen every day. You're almost done with this podcast. When you are, pop on the Locked On Sports Today podcast. We'll get caught up on everything across the sports world in just about 20 minutes or so. Games that matter, Locked On experts that only the network can provide. Find it wherever you found this podcast. That also exists on YouTube. So I've just come to the determination here that as much as we need to see the Celtics play better defense, and as much as Robert Williams' return will lead to better defense, this is just an offensive team. This is an offense-first team. Rob is coming back. According to Woj, the expectation is that he'll be back before Christmas. Hey, it's Thanksgiving today, so Christmas is not far away. Rob will be back soon. But even with Rob back, he's going to add to the offense. He's going to give the offense another toy to play with a lob threat, a rim runner, an offensive rebounder, a passer, a big man who can pass from the high post. I'm sure Joe Mazzulla is just dying to get his hands on Robert Williams and work him into the offense. Dying for it, because he's got so many creative ways to use these guys. I think one of Ime Udoka's great failings last season was not using Robert Williams more effectively in the offense. Now, they are a great defensive team, the best defensive team, and that was their identity last year. And so that was okay. They got by, but I think they needed to use Rob much more effectively on offense. And so I think Joe Mazzulla, who is an extraordinary offensive coach, can get that out of him. Now, that's not to say that Joe's not a good defensive coach. I think this can be a good defensive team as well. I'm not saying that this team's not going to be a good defense. What I'm saying is this team is not going to go out there and just suffocate teams the way they did last year. I don't think. I think this team the proverbial toothpaste is out of the tube. This team is potentially an historically good offense. They are Sean Grande, radio voice, TV voice, as Mike Gorman starts to take less of a workload. He's tracking this stuff on his Twitter. He's great with a lot of these stats. The Celtics currently are on pace to be the most explosive offense in league history. So the Celtics have their identity, and you're not going to change it now. They are not going to pivot from this level of offense. They are not going to pivot from putting up 125 points in a game to outscoring teams 102-99 or 110-100. That is not going to be the norm. This is the norm. 120 points is going to be the norm. This offense can only get better with Rob. I shouldn't say only get better. I mean, there are questions about having somebody there, and is there going to be some spacing issue with Rob in the dunker spot and Tatum going up for layups or Jaylen going up for layups, but that's something that can be tweaked. And if Rob's defender wants to come over, there are dump offs and alley oops that can be had. So my point stands. I believe this offense is going to get better and more explosive with Rob back. So I would expect this team's identity to maintain as an offensive juggernaut. And when you're an offensive juggernaut and you need to rest in games, where do you rest? I don't know if anybody remembers, but there was during the WNBA finals or during the WNBA playoff run, Becky Hammon had an amazing coaches mic'd up segment where she said to her team, if you need a rest on offense. If you need to take a play off, go find a corner and stand there. That's where you get your rest. And it was an amazing insight into how players approach games. Like, there are times in a game where you're tired and you just need a play off. You're not going to ask out of the game. You're not going to just call a timeout. There are times where guys just stand in the corner and they go, all right, I just need a moment. You guys play 4-on-4 or 4-on-5, whatever is going on. I'm just going to be over here for a second. But if your offense is moving and cutting and passing and all that stuff, and guys are really working hard on offense, where are they going to rest? They're going to come back down on the other end. They're going to go like, whoo, man, I'm tired. All right. Okay. Oh, that's a back cut. Oh, that sucks. I probably shouldn't have done that. All right. I'm better now. Let's go back down there and get those points back. That's the mentality. That's how it's going to go. So that means they're not going to be a defensive identity, but that's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Because all their defense needs to be with this kind of offense is just good. They just need to have a pretty good defense. They don't need to have the best defense. Hey, look, if I'm wrong and they come up with the best defense and they still have the best offense, oh no. Oh, I'm so wrong. I'm so upset that I was wrong. But I just got to know how this works a little bit. And I feel like you take a little step down when your offense is this good, your defense just takes a tiny, tiny, tiny step back. So what does that mean? Does that mean they go from 1 to 5? Fine. If you're number 1 in offense and 5 in defense, you're a championship level team. Even if you're 7th or 8th, if you're this number 1 in offense and you're down here around 7 or 8 on defense, you're still a championship level team. But if we're talking about identity, if we're talking about where this team's going to hang its hat, they hang their hat on offense. Because Joe Mazzulla is an offensive coach. He's an offense-first coach. He's an old point guard, He loved to score. He loves to distribute. He understands the importance of defense. They're going to say their identity is defense, but it's not. They're going to say it because they want to promote it, but it's not. This team wants to score. They're going to put up 120 points, 125 points, and they're going to try and win games that way. They're not the Brooklyn Nets that are going to try to win games 125 to 120. Hopefully the defense rises to a level where you can win 125 to 100. That'd be great. But this is what it is. And just accept it. Just accept it and understand that the defense is going to be a little less than what it was, and that's okay. I want to thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. If you're enjoying a Thanksgiving here in the United States, I hope you are enjoying your meal, enjoying your family, enjoying a lack of uncomfortable conversations. Hope you're enjoying each other's company. Watch some football, watch some basketball later. Wait, are there games tonight? Let me just double check. No, there are no games tonight. So don't watch any basketball because there's no basketball on. Watch some football. Enjoy the time. And stay safe. I know you're going to be popping a few. Enjoy it. Have some fun. Just get home. To everyone else in the world where it's just Thursday, then enjoy your Thursday. I'll be back for you on Friday. At some point on Thursday, Thanksgiving, I'll pop down here and I'll record another podcast for you. I'll have something. And so subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. Watch the show on YouTube. And hey, if you're listening in front of everybody in Thanksgiving and you've gotten to this point, then I'd say thank you to everyone. Spread the word. Tell everyone else. Tell all your other friends they should be listening to and watching the Locked On Celtics podcast here on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.